Heading out.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the AVGL Collegiate Champions Tour for Call of Duty Warzone. My name JJ and of course Caribou alongside me, and we just got our first game of Warzone underway and finished. Now we're about to have our next one. Caribou, talk to me. What changes do you think these guys are going to implement going into this next game?
Well, already seeing the curious change that, going to a relatively untapped area. I mean, you've seen some people go downtown is not too surprising. There's a whole lot of area to move around down there, and you're dropping straight in. This is just time wasted at this point. I mean, you also have a cluster strike in your pocket. Like, I don't know, maybe just bank on the fact that you can get something done. Just throw the cluster up there. But, I mean, this is wasted time. Just go around, find your money, get your loadout, go on the aggressive then. Maybe you have a better shot of hitting the snipes with the sniper rifle you're more comfortable with if you are going to opt into that one. But I don't know, they're just wasting time here. So I'm looking to see sort of the pace get picked up from these teams. Now that they have a loadout that is going to be coming in, this is their time that they should accent and try to make a move to go get that team that they've already got eyes on.
Good points, to be sure. And I think that when it comes to squads that like to take holds in buildings or strongholds in buildings and try to stay on roofs the whole map or the whole match, I actually don't think that's the best strategy, just because you are putting yourself in a spot where it can easily be W keyed up to, like we see it all the time. Obviously, you might spend 5 minutes running up the stairs, but still you're gonna get up those stairs and you're gonna look to fight them on that rooftop. And like we already see, that close range combat is going to be a lot easier for players who are running those SMG AR combos. And if you're a sniper rifle and you're not ready for that close range combat, it very well could be lights out for you. So I would imagine that we might see, like you mentioned already, some more W keying and getting into these buildings where these squads are holding up. At least that's what I would like to see, because that's obviously going to net you a lot more frags.
I mean, you see multi loadouts already coming in. Teams with helicopters. I mean, the FFAR, you're going to be able to put a lot of fire down. That's going to be a disabled chopper now, so there's going to have to be forced to get out of that. Great shots to break that armor, but pretty still to see the double AR setup here. But I mean, this is exactly the type of play that you want to see. You can imagine they've already got their 2 loadouts. They've already got Ghost with their overkill. So this team is going to be primed and ready to go take on these teams that think they're going to have an advantage. And I love the confidence of this. This is exactly what they should be looking for.
Yes, agreed. The heartbeat is out, and he is looking for hearts to take out. Will he be able to do so? Finds one, though. You're very close on this staircase. Takes a little bit of damage, and oh my goodness, gets annihilated, Caribou, before he even had a chance to respond. And, well, we're going on to the next squad here to spectate. But that was kind of unlucky.
Yeah, that's the difficulty, just clearing the stairs. I mean, you're already, turning, expecting the player to be sitting in the back corner waiting, but just kind of met in the middle right there, and the shot's already on, had the angle already coming at you. But this is the type of gameplay you'd expect to see. You see the whole squad up in a chopper, moving from one place to the next. They've got their loadouts. They got a UAV in at least one pocket. So, pick up a bounty along the way, might as well. At least give you a free understanding of where a team is. Then from there, go towards that team, pop the UAV, assuming they don't have 2 loadouts, don't have Ghost, and just try to start to wreak havoc on the other players.
Oh, finds one, and wow. Apparently, first shot advantage just wasn't present there. And then to the Gulag, we see one of our players crit. Actually, I'm sorry, that's the one still alive. The other 2 members are in the Gulag for his team. And I think that the Gulag goes, I'm a fan of the fact that the Gulag even exists. I know this is obviously, an old concept that I'm discussing here, but I figure, while we're waiting, looking at nothing, I think that the Gulag, I got to give props to Activision, man. They really changed the BR game quite a bit with the addition of the Gulag, because when we look around the scene and the game genre as a whole, across the board, BRs, just didn't have the ability to allow you to fight your own way back into the game. So I think this is a really cool feature, one of my favorite features about Warzone, and what makes these tournaments a lot more exciting to watch, because it's not just a one and done. You have a second chance, you have an opportunity, so it makes it more skillful, a little bit more fair. And even more of a reason why, I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but even more of a reason why the W key, right, Caribou? Because like, you have that second life, you have that second chance, so just go, man.
Yeah, you get that little boost of confidence in the sense that you do have a safety net there. Of course, you don't really want to burn that safety net early on. You want to be able to at least hold on to that. With Gulag closing at 5th zone, there is all kinds of time for you to be able to make the move that you want between now and when that 5th zone does come in. So there is plenty of opportunities to just W key with that safety net behind you. But now the fact that this whole squad, all 3 of them, Gulag gone, 2 of them didn't make it back, 1 of them did. And comedically enough, this guy that actually did come back got that kill with the flashbang. So, hey, whatever works to get you out, that's all it takes. But, I mean, at this point now, you have enough money to get at least one of your boys back. Buy station is going to be the one that is in the middle of the open here on the tarmac between the hangars. So that's not ideal.
No, not at all. Caribou walks into some mayhem and, wow, gets taken down already. That was actually going to be Neon's world, so this was a different squad. Back on over to Capo, who we were just watching, and looks like he has indeed brought back his teammate Crit. Going to be dropping back into the map.
Yeah, waiting to see where the angle's going to be. There's also another buy that is going to be over towards parking garage. It's probably going to be the safer of the bets. You can imagine someone's probably sitting top airport, but like you were saying earlier, you know, it's not going to be the smartest thing to just find a rooftop and sit there and wait. But as soon as you start making your way over there, you're going to start getting tagged. You hear the sniper shots coming at him. And of course, there's someone top airport. Why wouldn't there be? So just going to have to 180 and go back the other direction.
Yeah, but I think, too, that, you know, most of the time, what people are vying for as well in battle royales, and especially in Warzone, is information, right? Like you mentioned this before too. When you, as soon as you know there's a squad on the top of a building, on a roof, now you've got that info. They're not going anywhere. You can calm that to your team and then work together, figure out your strategy, and infiltrate. So I think that being able to play the information game and then being very strong at communicating where enemy positions are could be kind of the X factor, if you will, or make the difference between, you know, who wins and who loses these Warzone matches.
Yeah, and this is just a worst case scenario of where you're at. I mean, you know that there's a team that's already around you, and now you have to find a buy zone somewhere. That's probably going to be the safest one that is going to be still kind of exposed out in the open, because anyone that is up on the rooftop can just be sitting Overwatch and waiting. And imagining you don't have cold-blooded, they're going to be able to see if they have heartbeat sensors to watch you when it hasn't been hit yet. But being able to get both your teammates back, 2 red flares going up is going to at least tell where you're at. And if the team on the rooftop is going to be still around in this area, they're going to be able to take some free fire. And this is another update that I love. Adding these zip lines to the top of buildings, both airport, downtown, I mean, wherever, you name it. One of the greatest additions.
I agree. The zip line's definitely a big quality of life buff, to say the least. And I think, too, that when you're bringing back your teammates and that flare goes out, like you said, I mean, now you've just announced to everyone in the vicinity that, hey, I'm here and I'm bringing back someone else who doesn't have a gun, really, is going to be pretty vulnerable. So, you know, eyes are going to be in the sky immediately trying to get that knock and potential frag before he even hits the ground, right? So, you know, obviously risky stuff to bring back a teammate near potential squads, but of course, you know, at the same time, he's got to do what he's got to do. He's got to get his men back in the game, back into the war zone, so that he can try to get some of these kill points accrued, as well as, you know, obviously try to win the game.
Yeah, and at least, you know, making it smart enough that they were able to get the boys back, make their move over to Storage Town, and see what the next play is going to be, because for the time, at least you're staying safe. You keep calling these UAVs in to try to find anybody, but you can expect, as we've seen most of these teams do, they have enough time to loot to get 2 loadouts worth of cash, and they don't have to worry about the drop on the first loadout. And the way that this zone is pulling, Exactly like we saw on the north side, where the people are going to be kind of up on those hills and you can expect them to be camping out. There is a lot of forest down there in the southwest side of this map, where I can imagine you're probably going to have a few people that are just sitting down there waiting already for players to make their rotations in.
And with the circle being in the position that it is on the left side of the map, you also can tell that a lot of the water is, being taken up as part of that circle. So you're actually getting a little smaller of a circle or real estate to work with because it's on that kind of coastline and inaccessible area. So that obviously might prove impactful as well, and change the dynamic of the way these late circle battles ensue. But of course, too, it's important to mention that there are just fundamentally a lot less people in these lobbies. So it actually might not prove to be that important or that impactful, but of course, we'll have to see.
Some more loadouts coming in here to kind of help the boys that not had the luxury of getting their loadout prior. But now making the move towards, super and electronics and seeing all these areas around. Been rather uneventful on this move. Outside of the team that they found an airport, I mean, you see a few red dots that had popped up to their south while they, before they had started to make this move. But get over here towards Pool, towards the fire station, which I imagine is going to be kind of in zone. You can expect that there are going to be some people up on these rooftops just already waiting and just trying to find any angles of players rotating in, at least with the explosions around, kind of try to give you that knowledge and information. But right now you are, as well as a lot of other people, flying blind.
Blind is probably the word to use here, just because, again, that when you have no information on any enemy positions, they can just be anywhere. But wow, finding a frag here is Capo. I'm not sure if that's his first one of the match. It's actually going to be his second, but nonetheless, that was a nice one. I'm not sure if you saw if that was an insta or not, or whether he got down, but oh, maybe here are the other two members. And my goodness, the flicks and crosshair placement on Capo. Nothing gets by this guy. The quick two-piece for him, and that'll be 4 now total.
And the strength of the FFAR just showing right there. I mean, the Fama Savold is coming through, and everybody's loving this thing now. And now things starting to get a little more spicy. Everybody's starting to make this move. You get the live pings coming out. You see the vehicles coming through. You see the shots on the mini-map. Things are starting to get interesting.
Oh, yeah, baby. We are about to be lost in the sauce. And speaking of, here we see Phantom go down. Unfortunately, it looked like he was stuck on that molly or something. I'm not sure, but nonetheless, now his teammate trying to pick him up, but is going to be under fire. However, they still are going to get the res.
Smart to at least watch. I mean, good comms and good recognition of where these teams are. So you have a player, a teammate on each side of the road to take care of business. You get the one that had got you from the wall. You had one, in the building, to at least to be able to cover on both sides. Brave to just stand out in the middle of the street while you're down, but hey, whatever works, whatever gets the job done. But the next zone you see is continuing to pull off to that left side. It's going to be even more interesting because of just how difficult it is going to be able to push into this. And if you can assume that if you're seeing players rock the Car 98, the players with the Car 98s are going to be sitting in the trees waiting, and the trees are going to start talking to you, and you're the only one around. And it's not the situation you want to be in.
No, not at all. Of course, too, as you can see, heads on a swivel, and naturally so, constantly trying to look for any players around in the vicinity, just because, as you said, that with the circle shrinking, we're going to start to see a lot more convergence happen. But with more convergence means more firefights, more third parties, right? So obviously have to be mindful of these things and be ready and calming to your teammates. Your strategy and what you plan to do when the action ensues is obviously going to be important as well.
I'm seeing players pick up some more tacticals, some more lethals, fill up their pockets of what they didn't have before. Train station, in the mix here is going to make things a little more interesting. You can expect people are going to be up there, but that warehouse you see on the right side of the screen going to be very important. You see the sniper scope on top. There is a bunker off to the left side of that as well. You can figure that there will be players out towards that direction. Plus, you have the go-kart track all the way in the southwest portion of the map, which, if it does continue, there are a couple buildings around there that we briefly just saw on the right side of the screen. So there's at least a little bit of buildings to work with here. But it's going to be difficult, and you taking pop shots with a rifle like this, you're just begging for an airstrike like that. So at least smart enough to get back inside to avoid that.
Well, now, as we can see, the 2-screen setup here, being able to see 2 different POVs at once. Phantom on the left, Teddy on the right, and you know, it sounds as if there is some contact. You see the live ping coming in there, but will they decide to push on that? We'll have to see. Just a lot of walking around, running around right now, trying to find the action, trying to, of course, look for that contact.
See the pings. I mean, yeah, this is just going to continue to pull to the west southwest, and that's just a lot of wooded area. I think the go-kart track is in that next zone as well, but not a lot that is going to be here in the actual circle that it is covered. But this is a dangerous game that Teddy's playing. Just keep peeking that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I saw that glint, baby. I don't know if you want to play that game, man. It's just one and you're done, just like that. And he doesn't even have the self-res, so obviously none of them have the self-res, so that obviously is gonna play a huge part if they're by themselves and get picked off like Crit just did. And now he's gonna be forced to wait on a res. And will he be able to get one, though, is the question.
And you see, now you're between a rock and a hard place, and you got players on that warehouse across the way, plus the team that is next to you trying to push. I mean, your teammates at least trying to clear out this building, and they'd get at least one. See the remnants of what Capo had done earlier, but they still get their teammate down. Got to hope that there's some money up top here. This other team had something to work with, wherever they did run off to, but you only get the 1 kill. Now you're down a teammate.
Yeah, and with circle being as small as it is, actually no, what am I saying? They're not gonna probably be able to bring him back. I think he's done for the game. I can't see them getting enough money in time in order to bring him back. I mean, obviously I could be wrong if they get a kill and pick up a ton of cash, and you know, luck would have it, but outside of those very, very narrow circumstances, this might be a 2-man squad that for the rest of this match for them. But now as we take a look here at another squad, gonna be Kelly on your screen here. Oh, well, right as I say that, we switch right back.
Like the attempts here, trying to get just something on the chopper, but you know, as all these players are going to start to rotate down, you're going to see a lot of those. I mean, you saw a few across the street, already in the trees, on the rocks, using the cover, naturally already there. Smart airstrike, at least trying to cover you to give you some little bit of freedom on your rotation. But that warehouse, there's like 2 or 3 buildings over there, and that's about all that there is as far as man-made structure for cover. And beyond that, it's just all trees, and that's going to be pretty difficult. I mean, there's a lot of concrete walls and those barriers that you can see around the go-kart track that are the rest of the cover, but apart from that, it is a very wide open area, so I wouldn't be surprised, and teams right now would be smart to spend any money that they have, if they have the full team, to invest in self-revives if you don't have any. On top of that, precision airstrikes, and the other one, the name escapes me now, the cluster strikes.
The cluster strikes, yep.
Yeah, that's a 1-2 for investment right now.
No, I think that is the wisest choice one could make, indeed. Caribou, I think that people probably don't even actually, let me take that back. Obviously, plenty of people, before I even say it, plenty of people in the Warzone community value the cluster and the airstrikes, but we have yet to see it here today, so maybe these guys are not as interested, or maybe they just don't care as much about the meta. Like you said, it makes the most sense to me. The smaller the circle gets, you're gonna want to have those wide area of effect. Kill streaks come in handy and like just do the work for you. But hey, if these guys want to gun it out, just gun it down.
And the principle of it is that there's just nowhere to take cover. I mean, if you do have a precision or a cluster called on top of you, granted, maybe you just get lucky and someone runs into the area of effect where they don't get the heads up that all of a sudden this place is getting struck by an A10 or the cluster strikes coming in. But on the other side, you're going to force them out of their cover.
Oh, well, contact has finally been reached, and now he's taking a look here at Capo. He's trying to round the corner of this wall, but it gets annihilated as soon as he does. And now, as we switch back over to the perspective of those who just took him out, they are on a manhunt here. They are just going to find each and every person in the area, and I can tell already these guys favor the W key style a lot more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are full sprint, full tilt, just moving straight forward. I mean, see at least 3 kills in this one right here for Kelly. And the fact that they're just moving scot-free across the street in the wide open without anybody shooting at them at all is kind of surprising. I mean, the ping's coming out where you can expect, but there are some Lorax among these trees that you have to find and take down, but it's just a matter of where are they, and you got to get the jump on them first.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're just speaking to the trees right now, just talking to them in true Lorax fashion. Because, like you said, there's just absolutely no one peeking out of these bushes right now, and you can tell. I'm sure that they're communicating to each other like, "Where is everyone? You know, why have we yet to still get contact?" But you know, they're not going to be mad about it. They're just going to keep walking this perimeter of the circle, and continually keeping their back to that gas is obviously the smartest strategy here. So that they don't have to worry about anyone approaching from behind, and they can just keep focused on what's in front of them.
And just hugging the boundary, exactly in the same sense of both for the gas, you don't have to worry about anybody behind you, but also hugging the boundary that is up the hill, because that's another front that you don't even have to worry about. And then that's the high ground. And everybody knows you don't try it, Anakin.
No, never.
They're smart enough to at least back away.
Well, one member already falling here for Kelly's team. Now Broford might be next, and it's going to be a one-man mission here for Kelly. Will he be able to do it? 6, make that 5 other players remaining here. But he is stuck literally between a rock and, well, another rock and some gas, because that is the end of his road. 4 left, so I would imagine, but 3 squads. So is it a 1v2v1? 2v1v1. 2v1v1. Well,
numbers trickling out now.
Yeah, just like maybe? That. 2 people fell, and that might be 1v1 maybe. You're right. I can't tell. No, it's a 2v1.
2v1. Okay. One on the high ground. First fire.
And this is the one-man squad. If he can take this guy down, then it's a 1v1 potentially to win it.
Well, they got stuns too.
Yeah, those stuns coming in clutch. Did take down all of his armor, but thankfully he has plenty of plates at his disposal. Now being pushed though. Will he be able to find the damage? No! Armor break and just completely destroyed there in the 2v1. And what can you do? You know, it's a 2v1. You try, obviously, but not everybody's shroud level, you know? Not everyone can hit those flick nasties and click those heads. But still, I like what I saw in map 2 or game 2, Caribou. Much better aggression here from everybody. Maybe there were some nerves at play in match 1, maybe some jitters still, but definitely a lot better W keying this time around. A lot more aggression, and definitely a lot more exciting play.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see, you know, the development of that, you know, because it was just a little bit of a slower pace, you know, starting with the team virtually in the middle of the map. It's just a question of, okay, they're already taking pop shots at downtown. They hadn't got their loadout yet. And then in very quick succession, you see all of these teams starting to call in their double loadouts. They don't even have to wait for that first one to drop generously given by the map. And, I mean, then you translate over into teams with the Gulag and having to resort to all 3 of the players in the Gulag, you know, getting rid of that safety net early, and then having to go on the long con for getting the money back to buy the boys back, try to get the loadouts. And that went all the way from airport all the way down into the scrapyard. So that's a cross-map travel that you have to get the whole team back and try to get the loadouts for the boys as well. So it's just a long game that these guys are going to have to adapt into, and realizing that sometimes back's going to have to be against the wall and you got to perform under pressure.
I agree, and I think too that what we saw in that map, or in that match, I keep saying map, in that match, there was also a lot better map movement, as you were just mentioning, and the fact that those guys, that one squad in particular, it was a one-man mission to bring back both of the boys, and he was able to do that, and that's really important because that's going to now net you a lot more points for placement for your squad. So being able to fight back as a one-man squad to bring back your teammates is going to be really, really important and make a difference potentially point-wise down the road, because again, we still have 4 more weeks to go, so there's still room for for a lot of movement in the leaderboards. But of course, speaking of the leaderboards, we do have one available and ready for you to see. So we'll be bringing that onto your screen momentarily. And you know, I'm not gonna say that I'm not going to make any predictions yet, because obviously it's still too early. But so far, as you can see, Northwood at first place there at the top spot. Illinois there in second. And rounding out the top three is West Virginia PC. Gotta love it.
Yeah, we've seen Kaiser popping up a little bit. Their clan tag with the KU that's going around. And not the KU that I'm accustomed to in the background that I got Kansas University. But Kaiser's been a name that has continued to pop up here in this competition. They're getting a decent amount of kills there in the feed as well. So, you know, they see him lurking, but I'm with you. It's still too early to be able to make any predictions. Plus, in the sense that this is a 5-week-long qualifier session where they go points from week to week that continue to carry over to get into the grand finals on March 24th. This is just, it's a slow game. It is the long con where you have to be able to play consistently enough to guarantee you hit that 100-point threshold to qualify for the event in 1 month.
Yeah, and so those of us wondering exactly how that format is going to be playing out, again, as Caribou just mentioned, it's 100 points to qualify, and you're going to have to hit that point in order to even stand a chance for that $3,000 prize pool. And of course, $3,000, that's a lot of money, so these guys obviously all vying for it. But back into our next match we go, and already some action. Wait, no, these look like replays. I take it back. Yeah. I apologize. These are just the replays.
Gotcha. They tricked you. You didn't know. But yeah, I mean, going back to see where we started, we had, you know, some of that play around hospital where it was just, unfortunately, you get caught between, you know, where you're at and where you want to go. And, you know, the team on the hill, there's, again, not a lot of cover. Very similar to that in-game scenario where you're trying to go from the boneyards over into that wooded area. There's just not a lot of cover to go from one area to the next. And then you look at, you know, what we saw in the first game where it's just a lot of building control, trying to get up top, but you go in, all you have is your primary and the Diamatti secondary, not even a dual wield Diamattis. Maybe if you have two of them in hand, maybe you can take care of that, but only one, plus having to reload, it's just an uphill battle.
Yeah, and, you know, too, I think that these guys might even find that they maybe change their play styles throughout the day and even throughout the week. So obviously, I think that something that is worth mentioning that is going to be maybe, like I mentioned earlier, an X factor, if you will, is adaptability and being able to change and figure out, you know, how you can make changes to your game and call audibles on the fly with your team and be able to communicate that. Because I think that in a game like Warzone and BRs, it's very, very important to have that comms. You know, obviously you're moving about the map constantly. You have tons and tons of areas to go. You have so much to worry about, information coming in every direction, right? Players could potentially be everywhere and in every nook and cranny. So being able to adapt on the fly, make calls on the fly, and communicate that to your team is, I think, going to be heavily important. I'm looking forward to see which teams look the most coordinated going forward.
Absolutely. And putting the emphasis on the coordination, you know, understanding where the hot drop is going to be, because sure, you want to be able to take potential 50-50, but, you know, trying to go back into an area where you can get that mobility. I mean, that's why I say there's so much emphasis on, you know, players that do go to hospital. There's the helicopter that spawns rooftop. Players that go to the airport maintenance, to the hangars. There's a helicopter that spawns adjacent to the fire station. I mean, there's so many options where you can go that has a lot of loot guaranteed. That's going to give you enough money to be able to get your loadout. There's plenty of buy stations surrounding the area. And from there, then you accent yourself, try to move around the map with UAVs in hand, try to get as many kills as you can. We've seen a good consistency to come from those teams that do get that mobility, that do get their loadouts very early on and move from one POI to the next. It's just a matter of who's going to be the team that can step up and emphasize themselves at the top of the lobby by the end of Game 3.
Well, good points all around. However, we do have to send it to a break. So in just a few moments after this, we will be back with more Warzone action. Don't go anywhere.
In 2020, we interrupted your regularly scheduled programming to bring you $250,000 worth of scholarships through Intel Inspires. Now, in 2021, we are the regularly scheduled programming. We are proud to announce the new AVGL high school program, backed by a myriad of colleges, influencers, and esports professionals. Up to $400,000 worth of scholarships, paid esports internships, content creator camps, and 50+ exclusive tournaments and events. We know the ropes, and after the experience granted to us through Intel Inspires, we're no longer tying knots, we're tying bows. Because esports isn't about skill, it's not about age, it's not even about experience, it's about attitude. And we at the AVGL are dedicated to bringing that attitude from the vault of the esports corporations and into your classroom. If there's one thing we've learned from a year at the forefront of collegiate esports, it's that professional gaming doesn't start with us. It starts with you.